The insurrection continues, but it looks a little different this time, and now it is in the form of an impeachment. That's right. If you criticize Joe Biden or even consider impeaching him, even if it's just an inquiry, you're continuing the insurrection, according to Eric Swallwell, one of the stinkiest people in Congress, probably after Jerry Nadwell. The same guy who made Bang Bang with Fang Fang, a CCP spy from China, says the insurrection is onward, thanks to these Republicans.
I wanted to ask you about Donald Trump's role here. He obviously has no official role in the House operations, but he's clearly pulling strings behind the scenes. He posted on Truth Social in part, quote, "This is also the last chance to defund these political prosecutions against me and other patriots." That's not how it works. But what do you make of his demand and his role in this chaos?
Donald Trump and McCarthy and the other pro-insurrection Republicans have never accepted Joe Biden as the president. They tried to run and incite and inflame an insurrection that failed. They voted to acquit the insurrection when we brought forth impeachment proceedings in the House and the Senate. Many of McCarthy's folks go to the January 6th prisoners and visit them to give them comfort and aid. And so they've never accepted President Biden as a legitimate president. Even as we are hurtling toward a shutdown, they'll hold impeachment proceedings, which is just a continuation of the insurrection. And so this is all about just putting Donald Trump.
How many times he said insurrection here? If you're drinking to the word insurrection, you're probably feeling pretty good right now. We're only a minute in. An impeachment proceeding is a continuation of the insurrection. It's like everything is insurrection now with these people.
In charge. The House, unfortunately, has become a law firm, just one client, Donald Trump. And again, it's at the expense of American people who have needs on bringing their health care costs down, keeping their kids safe in school. You know, in just a couple of days, student loan repayments are going to start back up. And so people are going to feel the pain there. They need action on these issues. Again, instead, all they get from the House Republicans is action for one client, and that is, you know, the twice impeached 91 count indicted former president.
Okay, so more insurrections. Anytime that you do something that Democrats don't like, you're in the middle of an insurrection. You are an insurrectionist, as it were. And so we do know that there is going to be another insurrection taking place in Congress this week. Should be fun. Here, September 28th, 2023. Join us for the continuing insurrection. It is at 10 a.m. Now, we're probably not going to do it live, but we'll, of course, hit the highlights after the fact. The impeachment inquiry will be taking place, and we've got some witnesses who are actually already on the docket, and this just dropped. And so let's see. This is what the hearing schedule looks like. And here we have some announcements. Yes. The basis for an impeachment inquiry of President Joseph Biden taking place September 28th, 10 a.m. Rayburn House Office Oversight Committee is hosting this. It will be live streamed. And we have 3 different witnesses who will be there. One is Bruce Dupinsky, founder of Dupinsky Consulting. Don't know what that's about. Eileen O'Connor, former Assistant Attorney General, U.S. Department of Justice, DOJ Tax, former tax person. And then Jonathan Turley as well, who's a great columnist, writes for a number of different articles, publications. He's going to be there. And so it sounds like what this is going to be is kind of an analysis type of a hearing. If this were the case, would this lead to probable cause for this? Or have there been other examples where evidence that looks and resembles what we've got is used in impeachment? And Turley, and they'll say, yeah, it's good evidence, because it is. This is direct evidence of this. This is circumstantial evidence of that. And so it is coming up. Now, Comer is giving us a little bit of a preview on what that's going to sound like. And he is, of course, on the Oversight Committee. Here is some of his conversation about what we can expect.
She mean?
I have no idea what she means. There are 1 or 2 disgruntled Republicans that are trying to claim there's no evidence. But at the end of the day, the majority of Americans, poll after poll shows, realize there's mountains of evidence. Let's start with the fact that we've discovered the Biden family has taken in over $20 million from foreign nationals that came through a series of shell companies that were then laundered down to the Bidens in incremental payments. My question to the White House is, what did the Bidens do to receive that $20 million? They can't answer it. They try to act like it didn't happen, like it didn't exist, but it did. $20 million. We heard from the IRS whistleblowers that they didn't pay a penny of taxes on this money, that this investigation was leading to Joe Biden. We found, even though Joe Biden said he never met with or spoke to or had any knowledge of any of these people who were mysteriously wiring millions of dollars to the Bidens, we have found through our deposition process that he spoke to every one of them on the phone over a dozen times. So there's mountains of evidence. We can talk about the text messages, the emails. We can talk about the bank receipts. And that's what we're going to talk about next week in our first impeachment inquiry hearing.
You know, a few weeks ago, the last time you and I spoke, you said those bank records were the things that were really going to show those shell companies. And now you have that information. I do want to ask this. With the the special counsel, what's going on with Hunter Biden, planning to sue the IRS and really fighting back against some pretty bad charges against him now, tax fraud. I'm wondering, does any of that block your opportunity to subpoena, to get more information?
Well, we're going to find out. Certainly hope not. Call me skeptical, Harris, but I believe that thus far Weiss hasn't demonstrated an ability to be fair in this. We know that he was charged with lying on a gun application. If I listed the 12 crimes that Hunter Biden committed, that would be a distant 12th in order of most serious to least serious. And ironically, that's the one crime that you can't tie Joe Biden into. So we don't know if this is the first step for David Weiss or if this is just an effort to say we're doing something. Therefore, when we go to court to get the Biden's personal bank records, is the special counsel going to stand up and say, Your Honor, we have an ongoing investigation.
Yes.
Please don't allow them to have any more damaging evidence against my client.
Yeah, that is the phrase of the day for them. I do want to get to this. We were talking about people who might not be on board. Representative Ken Buck, I'm going to ask my team to show us that. This is an op-ed in the Washington Post from him. My fellow Republicans, one disgraceful impeachment does not deserve another. And Ohio Senator J.D. Vance has this warning to all of his Republican colleagues.
I think it could backfire on Republicans if we go further than the evidence. There are very credible pieces of evidence. We don't know if they're true, but there are credible pieces of evidence that suggest the President of the United States used his prior office to enrich himself and his family. Now, if that's true, then certainly he should be impeached. And whether it hurts us or not is not the right question. I think we have to follow the evidence. And if we get too far ahead of the evidence, then I think the American people will penalize us.
Your reaction?
I agree completely with J.D. Vance. Look, this is an impeachment inquiry. It's unfortunate that we've had to go here, Harris, but this family, the Biden family, this administration, the Biden administration, and his legal team have blocked and obstructed us at every turn. Yet we continue to uncover more findings, more evidence of wrongdoing by the Biden family. So this is the next step in impeachment inquiry. We're not talking about having an impeachment vote. This isn't an impeachment trial. This is an impeachment inquiry where we have every tool at our disposal to be able to get a speedy trial if and when we head to court over these personal bank records and these pseudonym emails. And it allows us to have a better standing when the cabinet agencies refuse to turn over information. So we're not having an impeachment hearing. We're having an impeachment inquiry because we've gotten to the point to where there's so much evidence of wrongdoing by the Biden family. And Joe Biden has lied so many times to the American people about his knowledge of his family's wrongdoing.
Real quickly, just a yes or no. Would you be willing to, or are you planning to subpoena people as part of the inquiry? Or are you waiting to get all of those mountains of evidence? Can you subpoena before that?
We're following the bank records. We're following the money. So the next subpoena will be for Hunter Biden and Jim Biden's personal bank records. If that evidence leads to individuals needing to be subpoenaed, whether it be Hunter Biden or Joe Biden, we will do that.
All right. James Comer giving us a little bit of preview. We've got subpoenas going out for the bank records for the president and the president's son. And we'll see what's in there. We do know that Hunter would spend pretty lavishly on business expenses. And some of those business expenses were sex clubs in, I think, LA. So very curious what we'll find. And I'm sure that the money is going to reveal a lot more of the nefariousness. Don't know if we're going to find gold bars like Menendez had, but certainly we'll see a lot more there. It's going to be curious. Now, a big question is about the love between a father and son and whether that love is sufficient to exonerate all of their criminality. Representative James Clyburn says absolutely. As long as there's love, don't really have to worry about anything else.
Yet President Biden, according to one witness testimony, was on the phone 20 times with Hunter Biden's business associates. It was described as pleasantries, but is that appropriate?
Well, his associates said there were pleasantries, but I think it's appropriate to be a father to your son.
Oh, yes.
And if your son is having a problem, and we all know the history of the problem that Hunter has with addiction, and he is being a father to his son.
He loves him, man.
You don't impeach a man for being a father to his children.
Yeah, you insurrectionist Republicans out there continuing the insurrection. You don't impeach a man for just loving his son. Can the Republicans use that, by the way? Can we just say Trump loves Don Jr. and Don Jr. loves Trump and Trump, Eric loves Trump. Don Jr. loves Trump and therefore Trump can't be prosecuted, all right? Just because they love each other. And being a father to your son, it doesn't matter what the conduct was because the phone calls don't matter. He just skipped right over the phone calls. So the conduct doesn't even have to be related. Anyways, that's Clyburn. Now here is Byron Donalds, who's going to give us some more details on this 2-track impeachment path that we've got. And we've talked about multiple different avenues of criminality reality that I think are worthy of impeachment inquiry, one of which is the crime that he committed with his Bag family, with Hunter Biden and James Biden and others. But the other is the obstruction of everything that he's been in charge of. Obstruction of the inquiries from his DOJ, from the FBI. And so both of those things could be investigated. Here's what Byron Donalds says.
Basic investigative practices were flatly ignored when it came to Hunter Biden. Conversely, they're inventing ways to prosecute President Trump. I firmly believe that there is obstruction at the Department of Justice because there is no possible way the first Hunter Biden indictment gets to a federal judge without Merrick Garland knowing about it and reading it, without Lisa Monaco, the Deputy Attorney General, knowing about it and reading about it, and frankly, with the two U.S. attorneys, one in California, one here in D.C., knowing what's going on and ignoring prosecution. That only occurs if the Department of Justice is covering up, they're blocking and tackling, and they are obstructing justice. Early on, when we broke news with the whistleblowers coming forward, I told Republicans, I believe we have two tracks of impeachment. One is on Joe Biden. We all know the story. But the second's on Merrick Garland, because Merrick Garland is the guy behind the scenes that is covering and tackling for Joe Biden and his corrupt family. That is a violation of the law, and he should go as well.
All right, so you just heard from another insurrectionist, Byron Donalds here, who says that impeachment is, perfectly justified, and he's apparently attacking stinky Eric Swallwell, bang bang with Fang Fang guy. And so, my friends, we'll see. There's going to be a lot more insurrections in this country. I thought that they were kind of, I guess I was mistaken. I guess everything is going to be an insurrection. Everything's racist. Everything's bigoted. Everything's insurrectionary. Everything's going to, be anti-science now if you don't follow what they say. So it continues. More insurrections. And of course, we'll continue to cover, my friends. Thank you for subscribing and sharing this with whomever in your life you think should come and join us. Thank you for checking out robertgovea.com, signing up for our daily newsletter, reading the video reports over there, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.